And it's Gordo here from Gordo's Games, bringing you some Digimon TCG content. And today I'm bringing you a deck profile from Tyler from Gaia Force Gaming, who placed third in a recent Evo Cup. Before I go into that video, you will see a slight error where I say he got first. To me, he did come first. I'm not listing all of you, but big shout out to him there, and big shout out to Max as well, who took first place with his green deck, green control. Some really strong players. Sounded like it had a lot of good plays and a lot of strong competitors. So let's get into the deck profile and let's see how we got on with it all. And we're joined today by Tyler from Gaia Force Gaming, who took first place. So we're gonna just go straight into him here. Let's go. So first things first, Tyler. Congrats, you took third place in, is it Evo Cup?
Yes, the TAK Evo Cup.
And what did you pilot for us?
I played Shoutmon.
I mean, anybody that's watched my channel knows that I'm a Shoutmon main, so there's enough respect here already. You could have came last and I'd probably still get you on for a deck profile just because it was Shoutmon.
Yeah, Shoutmon's a really fun deck.
It is. It's got, for red, it's a completely different. I find it's got a completely different kind of play style to it. So you can play the control-esque, you can play the aggro, but Shoutmon allows you to play both just by popping things for basically freebies whilst then swinging. You're always plussing.
Yeah, Shoutmon Dx is like a really, really unique card mechanically, and I think it's really strong, especially if people aren't prepared for what it does, or you could kind of bait them.
Exactly. Well, if we want to go for the deck profile first of all, then, and then we can have a little bit of a catch up on your matchups are, because I know you had a long day on that one. I think it was 9 rounds, was it?
Yes, 9 rounds.
Awesome. All right, you take us away then.
Sure. I'll start with the eggs. So I played 4 of the starter deck Koromon. It's just the plus 1,000 when you have 4 or more sources. So it's in Shoutmon, you're almost always going to have that, even if you start from like a hard drop rookie on board because of adding the source with DX. And then I played the one Koromon that lets you draw a card if you have Greymon or Omnimon in your name. Just a little bit of draw power. It doesn't come up a ton, which is why we only run the one. This could be also Guilmon if you want it to be.
Yeah.
Me and my buddy Nobu have actually even talked about running Poyomon, just because we realized that there were a lot of times Poyomon would have come up in the tournament just to kill a 1K when you swing. But that's more testing for that. This is what I ran.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest with ourselves, Tyler. I run the exact same lineup, and we know we run the Koromon because it's a nice, pretty ult. I mean, I think I've had 2 draws my entire time playing that thing, and it's like really sad.
So then for the rookies, I run 6 of the 2-drop vanillas. So it doesn't matter how you split them up. I wanted at least 4, but I just ended up not really liking anything else in the other 2 spots. So I went with the vanillas to help just, control your opponent's memory. 3K is a pretty decent body overall. It still dies to a lot of common things, but no rookie's going to live to like a Nightmon or anything like that. So yeah, I wanted to kind of approach the deck building of like this is like my 4th or 5th version of the deck, more like Turbo Omni. So I just went with cheap stuff. I play 4 starter deck Agumon for the 1,000 inheritable, and then 4 Shoutmon because he searches. His inheritable is insane in this deck, getting plus 2,000. He's the best rookie. You want to see him every game, basically.
Hands down, without a doubt. Being able to search and its top 5 cards are, it's just pricey. The value's incredible.
Yeah, top 5 is very strong. Yes. Then for level 4s, I played 2 Cordrumon, 4 Monochromon, 4 starter deck Greymon, and the 1 Agumon. I think the Cordrumon could be something else. That's kind of a flex spot. I just one of the things that I found when I was playing Shoutmon a lot is if you didn't like kill them by making your big stack and swinging, they would usually be able to get you back on the crackback. And having a 6K blocker to protect your stack um, is a lot harder for like Lord Knight to get through to swing over your Shoutmon. So it helped a lot. You can even do a 3-3 split. I just wanted more turbo pieces. You could not run this at all and run one drops. It's up to you and risky you want to be. I like having the one of a Gunimon at least just to hold in your hand to guarantee that game at the end of the game after you put them to 0 and they answer your board.
Yeah, and if they see it one game and then this next 2 games it becomes a threat to them, it's like having removal options. If they see it, it's like, oh, okay, I have to watch out for that now. Puts them in a
Yeah, and
constant state.
I think cards like that are really important too, especially when you're playing a deck that is really tempo up. If they see cards that make them want to play more cautiously, then you're always going to be in the driver's seat for like the flow of the game, which is helpful for decks like this. Um, for level fives, I played 2 of the secret rare metal Greymon for the plus 3K inheritable. Also, just once it came up where I was playing Rookie Rush, where this was over the security one Greymon, and I just gave them 5 memory and swung for 4 checks. Because nothing in Rookie Rush kills a 9K body anymore, unless you hit Spiral Masquerade. So they had 2 things on board, and I wasn't worried about it, so I just took 4 security.
Makes sense, and there's no better feeling when a Metal Greymon SEC gets its value.
Yeah, yeah. This too, I do like the 3K. I think this is a really strong option. This could be a lot of different things in this spot. Uh, I'm actually thinking about a different build already for Shoutmon, where you run Rise Greymons here and you up the tamer count a little bit. But I'm a big fan of this Greymon as well.
No,
You
makes
run 4 Omni Shout because you absolutely have to. He gives you security +1 if you have Blitz. He can evolve for 4 over the Shoutmon, skipping the level 4 completely. And he's searchable with Shoutmon, so he's really great. And then this was probably the best thing I did for the deck. I'm running 4 Groundramons. It could be 3. I found that I put Omni Shoutmon or Metal Greymon in the sources with DX the most, so I wanted to up my 5 count because towards late game I would just not have 5s. So I know 10 is a big number for 5 count, but I think in this deck it makes sense. I never felt flooded during the tournament or anything like that. And if you brick, slamming him for 5 when they have a memory tamer doesn't feel bad. Like, even if you put them at 4 instead of 3, it doesn't feel terrible. It doesn't feel like you're way behind. It's a lot better than slamming this or this for 8.
true. I mean, I've been testing the 2-2 split. I tried the Lavos to get around the the black toolbox matchup. Them constantly popping my 5s. I mean, obviously, not, I know
Yeah.
Shoutmon doesn't really raise out until it needs to, but if you have to hard drop it, um, would you say the Groundramon is the go-to way to get the whole matchup
Yeah.
that part?
I mean, like I said, I think you could do less of these and go in it like with different. So if you're doing a split, that's probably fine too. I just really like Groundramon. If I were to change anything, it would be the Metal Greymons as much as I love them.
They do put in work, but yeah, I do. I like the Rise Greymon tech, and from the times I've tried it, my only dilemma is it requires that pinnacle setup, and it only deals with one blocker when you're trying to do it.
Yeah. But so those are the 5s. The 6s, I feel like you have to run 8, and it's 4 Z Greymon, 4 Shoutmon DX. Zeke has Blitz himself. He has Greymon in his name, so you can draw off the Koromon if you end up evolving to him, which you don't normally do, honestly. You normally evolve into this guy, put him under to clear something on board, because he lets you attack an unsuspended Digimon when you attack with Blitz. And then, for everyone who doesn't know, Shoutmon DX, he can evolve over a level 6 as well. Uh, when he evolves, not only does he have Blitz, but you can put any red Digimon in his sources, and then no matter what you put in his sources, or even if you didn't put anything in his sources, he pops a 5,000 or less for every copy of Zeeg Greymon and Omni Shoutmon in his sources, and it's each copy. So there were a lot of times where people, not a lot. There was 2 times where people didn't realize that it was per copy. And like I had an Omni Shout and a Zeeg under him, I evolved again and put another Omni Shout and popped 3 of their 5Ks. And they're like, "What makes you pop 3?" I'm like, "Oh, his effect."
Yeah, it's a great feeling. That's it, the best part is when you play against Rookie Rush, and obviously unless you get the SEC Metal Greymon off, you get the Shoutmon off. It's like, can you remove your board, please?
Yeah, yeah. It definitely helps you clear Rookie Rush's board. And I had one Rookie Rush matchup, and it was, I don't want to say free, but I wasn't nearly as pressured as I should have been.
No, yeah. If you see the pieces, that this deck should not lose that matchup. If you don't see the pieces, like everybody else, you just lose.
Yeah. Then I run 2 level 7s, 2 of the Blitz Omni. He has a lot of synergy in this deck. Not only can he just end the game for you if you put them at 0, um, like honestly, I think maybe 3 or 4 times throughout the day, throughout my matches, I went to the Shoutmon, swung for 3 security because you have like him, maybe a tie out in one of these, or him in both of these. You hit for 3 security. Then they can't answer it, and on your next turn, they put up a blocker, a 5K, a Pitomon, or what have you. You evolve to another one, pop the blocker, swing again. It's still your turn. Take the rest of the security, and then just evolve to Omnimon to win the game. But on top of that, he just has a lot of synergy with. He lets you get another use off the Zeeg Greymon Inheritable to help clear the board more. And a lot of people forget that he can't be killed by effects or bounced by effects. So I was playing a security control matchup, and I had to hard slam a Zeeg because I was just really bricked.
Ooh.
And I ended up swinging with the Zeeg into a Zort defeat in the security, and he played a Tamer or something because he couldn't kill the Zeeg on that turn. And then I went into the Omnimon, swung into his Zort defeat, and I gotta pop the Zeeg to not die.
And then
And he
Ultimate
was,
Flare's dead in hand at that point, so good times all around.
yeah, yeah. So he was pretty surprised by that play. But speaking of security control, for options, I run a 1 of Delicate Plan. It's not just for security control though. The blue matchup, honestly, any matchup, it just stops their security from stopping you from going for game. So if you have 1 memory, just guarantee yourself to not get messed up by any pesky security cards. I think it's really strong. If they hit it in security, it goes to your hand. I think probably moving forward in Digimon period, if you're playing red, you should play 1 of Delicate Plan.
And that's
At
a
least
firm
one.
belief, especially with next set security control gets even worse for us.
Yeah, I think next set, if I'm playing red, I might go to 2 because it's it's gonna be a lot. Um, Speaking of pesky security, I played 2 Gaia Force during that event. It was a choice I made because I really didn't like that I had nothing in security that would be able to stop someone from swinging for game if they had enough bodies. Um, it also does pretty good when you're in late game against more grindy matchups. Like if Lord Knight's already used like 2 Lord Knights and they are kind of out of their turbo pieces and they pass turn by going to a Lord Knight in the battle area, you can just pass turn by killing it, and they get really behind on that. So Gaia Force didn't feel that bad. There were games where I drew it and just didn't use it because it's too much memory to pass over, but there were also games where it was in my security and it won me the game. So it's a trade-off.
It
And
really
then
is.
finally I ran the 2 Taikamiya. He sets your memory to 3. If you have 4 or more sources, you get security +1 as long as you're a red Digimon. So that won't count for Omnimon, but everything else is good to go. And yeah, Tai's great.
Ty does what Ty does.
Yeah,
He's only good if you want to attack with red stuff. It's pretty sad for red tamers because Marcus is great, but just for Greymons. Ty is great, but just for tall stacks. There's no kind of mixture. Like you got blue's got Davis and that, which gives you more draw tempo and things like that. There's no
yes.
generalized mixture because as soon as you go into your level 7, you shut off your Ty. And it's just like a reset to 3. It's no longer useful to me.
Yeah. So I mean, this is the Shoutmon deck I played. I think there's a lot of room in Shoutmon to play it how you want to. Um, I think it's a really fun deck. It's a really rewarding deck. There are definitely. I think your hardest matchup is Lord Nightmon, which is rough because it's the most represented deck I think right now. But if you play it right, you try to force them to swing first and waste their advantage. You could do okay. My matchups for the day, I played against a black deck. I played against an Imperial. I might not have these in the right order, so I apologize.
It's all good. It's
I
all
played
good.
against. I think so far it's right. It was black. I got it 2-1. That was not like a rough matchup. I just wasn't prepared for it. I didn't do any testing against black. Then against Imperial, I won 2-0 because I'm very familiar with that matchup. A lot of my teammates play Imperial. Dan Vang and Trey are both very good at Imperial, and they both play it different ways. So I have experience playing against the more methodical kind of uh, very planned way Dan Vang plays. Like he tends to play very not cautiously, but he all of his plays have a reason, and Trey plays very aggressively.
I was gonna say,
And I
as soon
think
as you
both,
said methodical, there, I was just like, that's got to be Dan. It's the methodical
yeah,
man himself, the evil little mastermind plotting your demise in the background.
but yeah, and both of those play styles work well for Imperial and have their own merits. But it's just cool that I have experience against both. Round three, I played against Lord Knight. It was a very close match. But again, you just got to try and bait them. Like put something like this out in the battle area, so it's like juicy, but have something ready in the back to pull up and go to Shoutmon.
I guess that's where the Groundramon really does pay off if I think about it. It's just because if you put a 5 out in Shoutmon, that's a big tempo swing because Shout, you put a DX Shout on top of that, then you can put another an Omni Shout underneath it to get 2 swings at least, and you just poke the
Yeah.
tempo
Like
quicker.
if you have the tie out and you go to like a 4 in the back, and then just hard slam this instead of evolving to it, while you have like another level 5 and a Shoutmon in hand, they're immediately like you have 2 stacks and they can't answer both. So it's really powerful. So I beat the Lord Knight 2-1, and then I played a Red Greymon Tribal deck. I believe I beat that 2-0, but that was a really interesting matchup, very back and forth. Then I played Rookie Rush. I beat that 2-0 just because I drew the DX. So
Literally, yeah, DX says win.
yeah. And then after the Rookie Rush matchup, I played another Lord Knight, and I won that one 2-0, mostly because game one he kind of would have had game, but there was a play where I had a Cordramon out and an Agumon in the back with a tie. That was my board, and he swung with Lord Knight into security, minus 4K'd my Cordramon, uh, dropped like a Pulsemon to gain some memory, and then used his egg to minus 1K it, putting it at 1,000. I took a security, whatever, no big deal. Then he swung with Recovery Salmon, but now I have a blocker that's 1,000, so I just blocked it so that he didn't gain security.
Big
And
brain
he like
plays.
was not expecting me to do that. So on my turn, he only had one security left. I pushed up the Agumon, swung, and then evolved to a Goonimon for game. And that's part of holding a Goonimon is so important. Just not evolving him unless you absolutely need to.
No, because you need that tamer down throughout the entire game, just for your tempo. Because if they don't have a
Yeah.
tamer down, how efficient the deck is, you can choke to one very easily.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So after that Lord Knight matchup, I played against Diaboromon, and I ended up winning that one 2-1. Again, we both had really lucky security all of those games. He had Ultimate Flare game 1 and 2 as like the first check. And in game 3, I had both Gaia Forces in my security, which stopped him from winning the game.
Some stack security right there. We love to see
Yeah,
it.
I was smiled upon by the Gaia Force gods. So then after that, I played Max with his green list, and I did lose to him. Um, he ended up winning the event, which was really cool. So, I mean, that's just if green draws their answers, there's not a lot you could do. It was basically everything that I put on the board, he would swing over. I never really got to get good tempo up against him, and he ended up winning that game. And then the last round, I played security control, and security control is actually a pretty good matchup for you because you're, especially in this build, because your single card value is so high with things like Ground Vermon. Like if you spend 5 memory on this and they have to transcend and sort it, you're winning that memory economy. Like they spent way more memory than you spent. If you can get to the Omnimon, he dodges a lot of their removal. Shoutmon actually dodges a lot of their removal except for Gaia Force. And on your turn, you're going to be higher than 12k with almost every stack. So you're not really worried about Transcendent Sword and security. And you have a delicate plan, of course. So I ended up winning that match 2-0. I ended up placing third because at the final table they drew. If they hadn't drew, if Max or Gary won that, I would have ended up going to second because of my tiebreakers. But that's how it goes sometimes.
Was it the Gary Chan the one that came second? Was it?
Yes.
Oh, good old
So
Gary
it
Chan.
was Gary Chung. He and Max ended up drawing in the finals. They went to time and couldn't finish out the game. But yeah, I ended up third.
I mean,
and with Shoutmon.
I mean, it's not been done by many people, to be honest. I've seen, obviously, I know there's other people have taken Shoutmon. They've topped in smaller events, but I think yours is the first one I've seen in the big top cuts to place so high, and it's got.
I think Oceania, Shoutmon won one of their either regionals or Evo Cups, but I know Oceania has a very weird meta compared to North America.
The great thing about when a set's coming to an end, you see all of the things coming out of the worst. I mean, it's like Black Toolbox. It's come out of nowhere, and it's got great matchups against Lord Knight and Security Control. So, it's like ideal for the meta. But we spent like an entire set where Lord Nightmon just dominate us. So things like Shoutmon didn't get time to shine. I think Shoutmon has an okay matchup against Black Toolbox overall, I think.
I agree, yeah. I don't think it's too bad. This actually ended up hurting against the Black Toolbox because of the Metal Garurumons, but it was just a matter of not putting this guy on the board and putting one of these instead.
Yeah, that's literally it. That's why I was considering the 2 ground, 2 lava, but I think with the methodology of what you say, 4 ground just sounds more practical overall for every matchup. You can always just hard cast one of the bigger ones for the Melga matchups.
Yeah. Shoutmon is a lot of fun. It's really rewarding to play. Like I said, it doesn't play super aggressive like red decks are used to. I feel like it's more of a thinky deck, as silly as that might sound, because you have to try and answer their board. It's a lot of board control plays. It kind of plays like green, if I'm being honest with you, but it's a lot of fun.
That's the thing there, because there are literally this. I think that's why I took a shine to Shoutmon, is because you can literally make this deck however you want. So if you want to go full on the rises, lower in DP, you can throw the Poyamons in there at thingy, because then when you're swinging, you can pop something that's 1k because you're still lowering things down, so it's killing rookies on swing, or you lower something down with 2k, you're popping the blockers that are 6k or level 5s that have got 7k bodies when you get the Shoutmons and that. There's so many different techs and pieces.
I did miss that about Rise Greymon, is there's a really cheeky thing you could do if you have a tamer out, where if you have Rise enough to DX, you can attack with Blitz before you activate his other effect. So you can minus 2k something before popping a 5k.
Yeah.
So you could essentially pop a 7k with that. And that, I did miss that, because there were plenty of times where I'd have been able to clear a Nightmon that they dropped with Lord Knight and completely pop their field if I had that ability. So that's why I'm kind of, maybe I'll go back to 2 Rise in here.
Yeah, no, it is the problem. But the thing is, when I've tried against Lord Nightmons, the Lord Nightmon's problem is they have such a wide board because they love to stack block. It's just like, I'll have a 1-cost blocker, 2-cost blocker, and there's a 2-cost blocker. There's a Lord Nightmon's like, yeah, it's going to be a problem. Blockers really are 6k blockers are the bane against Shoutmon, but also you can deal with it if you just out tempo them quick enough, and I think that's where you kind of strived on the old style Turbo Omni, but where it's Turbo Shoutmon instead.
Yeah, I mean, it works. Like, I mean, I had some pretty decent matchups. I mean, I got lucky I didn't just play Lord Knight all day. That would have been miserable. But
Oh yeah, no.
with a little bit of preparation and you know smart thinking, you can definitely get there.
No, exactly. Well, you played a great tournament, placing third. Obviously, big shout out to Max at the top end. You couldn't lose to a better person, really, could you? I know he's close to the Gaia Force gaming group.
Yeah, we love Max. Max is the homie. I'm so stoked that he got an Omnimon. A lot of people from our Discord ended up top 16, so that was really good to see. Just like Nobu, Izzy, our buddy Danny. Dan Vang didn't top 16 this one, but in the other three events he top 16. So
Oh, Dan was letting you all get a chance. He's like, I've done this before, all right? It's your lot's turn, all right? Take it easy. So
yeah,
modest, isn't he? No, but I mean, really, really well done across to all of you there. And obviously, for anybody that is watching this, I will have the link in the description for Gaia Force Gaming's Discord, their YouTube. Show some love over to them as well. Any shout outs you want to do to help who helped craft the deck or helped you basically bully with testing?
I mean honestly, just shout out to my team, Gaia Force Gaming. Shout out to the people who hang on our Discord who helped me test. Like I said, the Digi Academy, Nobu, Izzy, and Moonrose definitely helped me test a lot. Uh, Nobu and I have been bouncing deck ideas for Shoutmon for a while now because he also has been playing it. Uh, True Champs Gaming is a longtime friend of Gaia Force, Ari and Lucian. He helped me practice the Ricky Rush matchup. He's been killing it with Ricky Rush. He's like top aided the last four events he's gone to with Ricky Rush. Um, but yeah, just the whole community has been great.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Within Digimon, I've got to say there's a very good, strong community vibe. I think that's one thing that really entices people into the game overall. But enough of my talking. Jump in Gaia Forces Gaming Discord, jump in their tournaments. I eventually have to stop by one myself at some point, but I would commit to me staying for a long time past midnight.
Yeah, yeah. I do the same thing with your tournaments. I was like, man, I want to play in one, but it's just such an odd time.
Well, I mean, if you are inclined to play in one, I will give just a little brief announcement. We are looking to do a Gordo Games mat tournament coming up at some stage.
Ooh.
So if you do want to get a mat, kind of like how Garish Run does his a little bit, where you can only get it through playing in the tournament. I guess I'll be seeing you, Dan, and Trey, and the boys popping up for that because we know how much you love collecting mats or stopping me from getting them. That's been a running theme.
So everyone check that out too. That'll be great.
But from our side of things here, Ty, thanks for coming on, and well, congrats once again. All right, dude.
Thank you so much for having me.